Hi, this is the lecture video for chapter 12, the quality management. And for this chapter, we will focus on the conceptual part of quality management, which are divided into three parts, the TQM 6 Sigma and ISO 9000 and ISO 14000. TQM and Six Sigma are the two important philosophy of quality management, while the last part is kind of like introduction about like the certification or the standards currently like for almost like the whole world. So for the TQM, the first part we will discuss is about kind of brief introduction about what it is. And briefly speaking, the TQM it can be defined as managing the entire organization, so it could be excels in all dimensions of products and services which are important to the customers. And they are two fundamental operation goals of TQM. The first one is about the careful designing for the products or the services, and while the other is like to make sure the whole organization will be able to produce the products or to provide the services with the designing consistently. And because it can be only achieved like if the entire organization is oriented with these two fundamental goals. So this is also the term total. So we call the total quality management. And the total quality management actually became a national concern in the US in 1980s because of like the quality shortfall in the US, which improves like the whole industry, like throughout all the industries, and it became a national priorities. And with the departments, like the Department of Commerce, and they just established a award we called the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award. And this award is given to organizations that have demonstrated outstanding quality in their products or the processes. And it's actually a total of up to 18 awards may be given annually in the following categories like manufacturing, service, small business, education, and healthcare, and non-for-profit. And this actually like for the candidates for this award, they need to submit a application with up to 50 pages with like those seven categories. Like they need to demonstrate how they do a very great job like in leadership, strategic planning until like the business results. And the total points like will be given as like kind of 1,000, and any application which over 650 will be selected for the site visit, and the winner will be selected for those. So this is kind of these awards. And another thing I like to give to you, like as a brief introduction, is the quality gurus. Like we actually have a few, but three of them are what we will focus on for the chapter 12 here. So this table actually gives you like the very great quality leaders, the Philip Crosby, the Ever Deming, and the Joseph Durham. And even like they have kind of like the slight differences of the definition for what quality is and how to achieve it. So you can find those like for this table. But all of them agree that if we want to achieve our outstanding quality, it needs the great leadership, the quality leadership for the senior management, as well as the customer focus. So we need to focus on customers. We need to know what the customer really wants, as well as we need to respect the employees. Employees is the most important assets in the organization, as well as the continuous improvements. And based on like if you can figure out those four aspects, and you also need to like have a really outstanding like do some like the analysis process stuffs to make sure like you really do a good job like in quality management. So this is about the first part I'd like to introduce for you in terms of what TQM is. And for like the quality, like we talks about how to manage quality. So when we mention like what quality, like the what we really focus on in terms of quality in TQM, actually we need to figure out like the specifications here as well as the cost of quality. So in terms of quality specification, the first thing we need to figure out is about the design quality. So design quality refers to the inherent value of the product in the marketplace and is thus a strategic decision for the firm. And while the conformance quality is actually degree to which the product or the service design specification are met. So this is actually also the two important fundamentals of the TQM about the careful designing and the conformance. If you can produce or provide the products or the services which met the designing specification you provide. As well as we also have another like important terms we call the quality at the source. So briefly speaking, quality at the source is actually you need to fix like or correct like the mistakes or the defects at the source when it happens. So this is means like you need to give the employees the power. You need to also make the employees like know their responsibilities. And then at the same time, you give them the power to make the decision. If they find defects or mistakes, they have the power to stop the whole production line or to stop the whole process to fix the mistake or problems. So this is what we mean, the quality and the source. And in terms of the specification here, we also have another very important terms like helps us to manage quality. We need to figure out the dimensions of quality. So when we design the specification for a product or a services, actually, especially like in terms of quality, so we focus on those following dimensions. We focus on the performance, features, reliability or the durability or serviceability, aesthetics, perceived quality. And this is kind of the performance is actually what you're looking for. So for example, like if you want to buy a remote sneaker to help you to control the PowerPoint slides. So the performance problem just you want to have something like to help you to control like your slides like remotely that you don't have to keep standing in the front of the computer, like you can walk around in a classroom. And the features is some like special functions, like for the remote controller, we need it to control the slides. If you have some like laser can help you to pour something, when you want to emphasize it, that will be kind of like the special features. And the reliability durability focuses on like how the performance like over time and if it is like could be just like used or utilized as its specification described. And the serviceability is kind of like the supporting. So it's how it is, if it is repair, if it's easier to return. If you want to some instruction about how to use it, can you get enough supporting? And aesthetics is talks about like how it's not kind of this is actually a very difficult dimension like for managers to um control their quality because this is depends on the performance. I mean, depends on the customer's preference. So it talks about how a customer feel it, how it looks like. How about like this is not about the function stuff, it's about like how it looks like, how it smell, like does customer may like it or not. And the last one is the perceived quality. It's a pure feeling of the customers. It also mainly relates to the past reputations or the brand reputations for some products or the services. So this is the dimensions we may use to design the quality as well as manage the quality later. And the last thing I'd like to share with you in terms of the TQM, the quality management here, is the cost of quality. So in general, we have four types of the cost of quality. We have prevention cost, we have appraisal cost, we have two different failure costs, the internal failure cost and external failure cost. The prevention cost is the cost you spend on to prevent the defects or any thing which is not satisfy the customers. And appraisal cost is something like you spend on do some assessments, for example, like you do some research to select the best suppliers and others, or you do some like audits to help you to figure out which one is the best decision for you. And for the failure cost, we have two. So the internal failure cost is the cost you spend on to repair the defects or rework the defects internal your company. So it's before the customer receive your product. So during the production, so you find okay, this is the defects, so you probably scrap it or you just repair it like before you send that to your customers. While the external failure cost is some cost like you spend on to fix the products which the customer have already received. So this is what the full cost here, and in order to help you to have a better understanding about this full cost, I also gave you some examples for this following slide. And except for like what they are, I also like to give you the introduction about the relationship between those costs. So for the prevention and appraisal cost, if you spend more money on it, you can imagine actually the total cost of quality will decrease because you spend enough money on training your employees, on selecting your suppliers and others, and doing some assessment, other assessment, doing the audits. So the total cost of the quality will decreases as well as the failure cost. So both the internal and the external. And another thing I want to emphasize here is actually external failure cost will hurt your business more than the internal failure cost. Because if the customer is not satisfied with what you provide to them, they may not buy the products or the services for you anymore. And they will impact their families, their friends, so you may lose the customers, and you may lose more customers, and you may lose them forever. So this is about the cost of quality. And the second part, like for the chapter 12, I'd like to introduce for you is another very important philosophy of quality management. We call the Six Sigma. So Six Sigma is a philosophy and methods that the organizations like use to eliminate, to just like reduce their defects. And so the Six Sigma actually refers to a standard, like kind of like this is the distribution. That means like if you produce like 1 million units, you only have 3.4 defects. So this is a really, really high standard over there. And this is also like we use a DPMO to represent that. So the DPMO is actually the defects per million opportunities. So how many defects you may produce, like when you produce 1 million units over there. And the function here is like to help you to figure out how to calculate that. And for the Six Sigma methodologies, we have a general steps you can follow, which we call the DMAIC. The dumb managers always ignore customers. So the D here means define. So you need to identify the customers and their priorities. You need to identify the projects suitable for the Six Sigma efforts, and you also need to have a really clear ideas about what you are doing and where are you going to. And the M represent the measure. So you need to determine how to measure the process. You want to count the defects, or you just want to measure the length of the products or other stuff. So you need to choose the indicators or the criteria you want to measure it. And the A represents the analyze. Once you connect the data, actually Six Sigma is kind of this way heavily relies on the statistical tool. So you probably need to connect some data and do some analytics to help you to figure out like the causes of defects and how to improve it and so on. And once you figure out that, you will be able to move to the fourth step number 4. So how to improve it. And the last one we use control, but this is actually means like how you document it. So once you have already defined the problems, measure it, and do some analytics, and you know how to improve it, and then you need to go back to control to say if you have already improved it. If not, what kinds of other things you can do to fix it, to improve it? If yes, so what kinds of another things you can do it better, and you can document everything you have. Then next time, like if you meet the similar problems, anyone like in the organizations will be able to know how to fix it. And this is what we call the MAIC cycle. And for the Six Sigma, we have a lot of analytical tools to help you. We have a flow chart, which you have which you have already learned, like for chapter 9. We have the run chart to help you to depict the trends in data over time. And we have Pareto chart to help you to break down the problem into components. We have the check sheet to help you to just like do some data connection stuff, and we have the fishbone. We also call it the cause and effects diagram. This is actually a tool to help you to figure out like what is the root causes for the defects, or what the kind of potential cause may impact the whole process. And also the opportunity flow diagram. This is actually a special flow chart, so help you to um evaluate the value added activities for the non-value added activities. And we also have the process control chart, which we will learn next week, to help us to find if there is some special variation in your process. If yes, it means like out of control, so you probably need to take some actions to take it. And the following, a few slides here, it just gave you some examples about the tools we just mentioned. So this is what we have. And we also have some additional tools for Six Sigma. We have a FMEA, we call the failure mode and effect analysis. So this is actually a structured approach to help you to identify, to estimate, to prioritize, and evaluate the risk of the possibility of the failures. And we also use the design of experiments to help you to determine the cause and effects relationship between the process variables and output, so the DOE. And the last thing I'd like to introduce for you is about the responsibilities. So when we introduced the TCOM, we mentioned like if we want to do a really great job in TCOM, we need like the leaders involved, like for the senior management, we need the customer focus. We need to understand the respect our employees and continuous improvement. For the Six Sigma, we also have like for the different nodes, we also have the different responsibilities. So we have the executive leaders who are truly committed to the Six Sigma and to promote it throughout the organization. And we also have some other like the corporate wide training in Six Sigma. So Six Sigma, if we actually have different like the certification, we have the master black belts, we have black belts, we have green belts, we have yellow belts. Each of the node they may take like the different level of the Six Sigma job. And also like we have the setting of the stretch objectives for the improvement and continuous reinforcement and rewards. So this is all the stuffs I like to introduce for you in terms of Six Sigma. And the next net, it talks about kind of like the Shingo system. So Shingo Shiago is actually a leader, another very great leader in quality management, and it gives you an example about how to do the fail-safe designing to help you to continuously improve the whole process to prevent like the mistakes, the errors. The last part for chapter 12 is talks about the standards. So the standards are designed to help companies document that they are maintaining an efficient quality system. And we have like two different. We have ISO 9000, which focuses on actually it's kind of the international reference for quality management requirements in business to business. And for while the ISO 14,000 is actually concerned with the environmental management. And this is also like another the ISO 9000, the seven quality management principles it relies on. And the last slide gave you like some the three forms of the ISO certification. Like we have the first party, second party, third party certification for different aspects. So this is all of the things I'd like to introduce for you for the chapter 12.